Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today is a bit tough, right? We had a couple of delay here and there to start our lesson today, and alhamdulillah, we're back. So sorry everyone who might have joined much earlier and hoping to start the class on time, like the time we normally start the class. I had some tech issues, so bear with us for that. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه من والاه اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وأنفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone. Hope you all are doing great today. So inshallah we'll be learning together in this class together here today. We're going to be learning the rules of the silent letters of the Quran. Right? When letters of the Quran are silent, how do you pronounce them? And what's the rule of pronouncing silent Quran letters? Inshallah. So that's gonna be the discussion today, bi'idhnillah. Let's talk a little bit about what we've learned so far. In the past we've learned the sound of the letters. We've also learned the letters structure as well. And so one other thing that's really very tricky, apart from learning the sound of the letters and also learning the shapes of the letters, also is identifying the sukun, right? The silent Quran letters, and how do you pronounce them, and what are the types, and the different types that we have. What are the different types that we have? This is what we'll be looking into today, bi'idhnillah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. Ameen. So my name is Imam Muhammad Ameen. As many of you guys have seen this lesson on, and so starting inshallah next week, we are creating a curriculum for these sessions on Sundays. So like we do have in our accelerated Quran reading program, in our paid private programs for our students, that's exclusive for our students. We would like to benefit some other students who are now able to join us in that excellent program. We have like 2 programs right now for students, for teenagers, for kids. Although we do have an adult program that started last month. That started in June. We had a program for adult that started in June, but we stopped the adult program due to availability of many of the students. So I feel that we want to help a lot of adults who are still struggling to learn to read the Quran, and many people do not have time to set aside weekly or just on the weekends to learn to read the Quran. So how do we want to help ourselves and master the Quran? If it's just once in a week, of course there needs to be some commitment towards that as well. So we are deciding to have like a structured and continuous curriculum that will make the adults also achieve some of that kind of goals as well in Quran learning with us in this Sunday's class that we do have. So sukun, everyone here in the one way or the other you've heard about sukun. So sukun is a symbol for silence in the Quran. When a letter is having, there are two types of sukun actually. So there's the one we call the half circle sukun, and there's another one called the full circle sukun, right? So the half circle sukun has its own function when you see them in the Quran, and then likewise the full circle sukun, right? And so if someone wants to be a fluent Quran reciter, they need to be able to identify these differences, and so that they can be able to pronounce Quran words having those kind of sukun. So we have what we call the full circle sukun, which is the one that looks like a full circle. Really, it's a full circle. And we have the sukun that's called the half circle. So they have like different purposes, right? The one that's called the half circle, it shortens the sound of the letter when you see them on the Quran words and ayat. And the one that's full, it cancels out the sound of the letter, right? And so here now we have a letter, a ba and a hamza. So the ba has a fatha, but you see the hamza on top of it has a sukun called the half circle sukun. And how do you pronounce the hamza in this scenario? You're gonna shorten the sound of it, but because now normally the hamza, let's say it has a fatha, it's gonna be ba, but now the hamza is shortened, the sound is shortened, then it's gonna be ba. Alright, you see, I pronounce the hamza, of course it comes from the deep part of the throat, but I'm pronouncing the sound in a much lighter and reduced way. You see, if you listen carefully, you would see I'm pronouncing the hamza, but in a very silent or a reduced sound. Ab. So instead of the ba maybe having a fatha or a kasra, it has the half circle sukun. You pronounce it with a shortened sound. And yah, and this one also yaj, right? Yaj, right? So these letters here and all those words here have the half circle sukun, and that's what they are pronounced with. So the second type of the sukun, which is called the full circle sukun, and that one, when you have it on a letter, you're gonna see it's like a round circle like this, right? It's gonna see like a round circle this way. And so this is, I'm using the Uthmani script Quran, style to teach this class, because some people would use some other Quran, format, like, I'm talking about the fonts, like the Pakistani or in the Pakistani version. I already had a webinar and make a kind of bit understanding and differentiate between those letters, those kind of sound of sukunin, or the differences between the Uthmani script Quran and maybe the Uthmani script, and also the Uthmani script and the Pakistani version of the Quran structure that we have right now available out there for people to read. So this is the full circle sukun, right? And so when you see the full circle sukun on a letter, it cancels out the sound of the letter totally. So the sound will not be pronounced. Like this one here, it's gonna be ana. So you're not gonna say ana. Why? Because the alif that it needs to be elongated for the noon is having a full circle sukun, and as such, the full circle sukun will cancel out that letter totally. So the sound is not there. It's written, but it's not going to be pronounced. Right? So that is the full circle sukun, and that's the function of the full circle sukun. Right? And so, like here, ursilu, you will see this here, yeah? So this hamza and dhamma, ra with the sukun, half circle sukun, ursilu. And so when you see this round or full circle sukun, it cancels out the sound of the letter. And so when you also see this one here, ajaramu, so these are the two types of sukun symbol, and some letters will be completely silent. They will not have this half circle sukun, or they will neither have the full circle sukun. And those kind of letters, there's a specific rule to them in the Quran. Some of them, when they are completely silent, they don't have a half circle sukun, they're not even having a full circle sukun. There's a reason. The rules are much different. So it's like some of them are representing a divan, and some of them are representing the rules of nun sakin or the rules of mim sakin, right? But when you have a sukun, half circle, or this small, small circle sukun, they meant something. And what they meant is the half circle sukun is going to shorten the sound of the letter, while the full circle sukun is going to what? Cancel out the sound of the letter totally. So the letter is not being pronounced. You cannot hear the sound of the letter at all. And so this is how those letters that have these two type of sukun will be pronounced. And I said, you will see some letters, they will not have anything. They will not even have an half circle or the full circle sukun. But that is a complex topic we're going to discuss later on in a more simplified version. So some of them, when they have nothing, they don't have any half circle or full circle sukun, so they represent what we call sometimes idgham, some form of idgham, or sometimes they involve some form of nun sakin rule or mim sakin rule, right? And so another thing that you need to know is when reading Quran, I made mention of this earlier last week, is that when you're reading the Quran, so you've got to stop right at the end of the word. So when you're reading the Quran, there are 5 sounds that whenever you stop on a letter that have them, you're gonna cancel out that sound and give that letter a half circle sukun. So when a letter is having a fatha or a kasra or a dhamma, or a letter is having a kasratayni, or a letter is having a dhammatayni, those kind of letters, when you stop on them in the Quran reading, you're gonna cancel out those sounds and give all letters that have this kind of sound, you give them a sukun, a half circle sukun that's gonna shorten the sound of the letter. Except for what letter? Except for this kind of letter, ita al-marbuta, right? The round ta. So the round ta, whenever you stop on the round ta, it gets converted to a ha. It gets converted to a ha. So this kind of ta, they end the words of the Arabic. So when a ta is ending the word, and if you see this, so they will be sounding ha when you stop on them. The ha will be in sukun, right? The ha will be in a short, half circle sound, but the letter will be converted to a ha, except for these 2 letters, these 2 shapes of letters, but they are all ta, these 2, except for those that this one will be converted to a ha when you stop on them. All other letters that are having a fatha, a kasra, a dhamma, or they are having a kasratayni, or they are even having dhammatayni, what do you do to those letters when you stop on them? You're going to cancel out all those sounds and give the letter a half circle sukun. So this one here is going to be Alam nashrah laka sadrak, laka sadrak. So you will cancel out this fatha and give the kaf a sukun. Laka sadrak, laka sadrak. You see, the kaf is having a shortened sound, and so that's the first rule of the half circle sukun that we learned earlier. So it's gonna shorten the sound of the kaf, and instead of the kaf having laka sadrak, so you're gonna shorten the sound of it, laka sadrak, laka sadrak. And this also the same thing, وَرَفَعْنَا لَكَ ذِكْرَكَ, 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 right? So you will shorten the sound of the letters ending when you're stopping on them, right? And so the sukun that you will give those letters is called the half circle sukun, right? The half circle sukun, the half circle sukun is what you're going to give them. And so you can do more practice on your own, and as a rule of thumb, when you see those sounds, a fatha, a kasra, a dhamma, right, a dhammatayni or kasratayni, when they are ending a word, you always give those word what? A sukun, a half circle sukun, except for ita al-marbuta, right? And so there are 5 letters. Whenever they have this half circle sukun, either they have it naturally or you give it to them because they stop on them. These letters will be pronounced with qalqala. We call it qalqala. So it's like an echo sound. So the sound of the letters will be bounced back. So like here, qaf is gonna sound like qo, right? And the ba will sound like b, right? A ta is gonna sound like to. A jim is gonna sound like j. A dal is gonna sound like d. You see that? So I gave a bit of abbreviation of that. Ko, to, be, j, de. So these are all these 5 letters. Anytime they have half circle sukun on them, they get pronounced with qalqala. So these are as-sifatu al-arida. So we call it as-sifatu al-aradiyya, right? As-sifat al-'adiyya. This is an advanced concept we learn in our classes for advanced students. So when some letters, when they have some stuff which are not naturally part of them, so the sukun is when the qaf has the sukun, or whenever they have sukun because they have been stopped on, they get pronounced with echo sound. So this kind of attributes are called sifatul a'udiyya, right? So qalqala sound and all that. So, and the 5 letters are those 5 letters that are really involved in that. These 5 letters: qaf, ta, ba, jim, and dan, right? So when you pronounce them, they're gonna sound echo when you have alf, sukun on them, right? So let's recap the lesson shortly, right? So there are 2 types of sukun that you will see. You would see the full circle sukun and the alf circle sukun, right? And so the full circle sukun, the alf circle sukun, shortens the sound of the letter, right? And the full circle sukun cancel out the sound of a letter, using the Uthmani Madani Quran printing press, format. And so when you have alf circle sukun on some letters, right, like the qalqala letters, the 5 of them, they're gonna pronounce echo. They're gonna get bounced back. They're gonna pronounce like echo, like you pronounce them with echo sound. O, to, be, j, de. And so when you're stopping on a letter and you're reading the Quran, you're stopping on an ayah, and the ayah end with fatha, the letter and ayah end with fatha, kasra, dhamma, or idhamataini, or ikasratani, all this will be cancelled out, and you will give the letter a sukun, a alf sukun that will pronounce, the sound of the letter shortened, right? Yeah, so this is what we'll learn. And so if you want to learn more deeper into this and get better at reading like a pro, join us in our accelerated Quran reading program for kids. If we are able to see adults that are more interested and really committed to learning Quran with us, we can also start another cohort of adults program. We have a cohort that's going on right now, but we've stopped enrolling into the adult program unless we're able to see committed people that want to join that. But right now we have a lot of multiple spots available starting next month for those who are wanting their kids to become pro Quran reciters, learning the Tajweed rules like I just explained right now, and be able to practice them in our program. So it's really amazing. Join us. It's going to be a 4-month program, so your child will learn to read the Quran on their own fluently, inshallah. And I look forward to hearing back. If anyone has a comment, just put type yes or Quran at the bottom of this video, and I'll personally reach out to you, inshallah, to get you available for the next steps to join our program, right? Inshallah. Thanks so much, everyone, and I'll see you next week with Bismillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.